Hi everyone, this is Nirvan Gandhi. I'm the founder of Applicant-X, and today I have with me Ameer Hassan. Ameer and we worked together on a few applications this year, mostly to schools in UK. And I have brought Ameer here primarily to understand his point of view on the entire application journey, how he went through his applications, and finally also how he converted one of them and landed to one of his dream schools. But before we begin with all that, I just want to start with asking Amir to introduce himself, just walk us through his background, right? Help us understand your academic journey, your professional journey, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Yes, thanks Nirwan for giving me this opportunity to share my journey. Uh, I'll quickly talk about my background.
Sure.
Uh, I come from a Calicut, which is a small town in Kerala, so
Okay.
where I have done my entire schooling there.
Okay.
After that, I graduated from IIT Madras. I have done my BTech in Naval Architecture and Ocean Engineering from there. So I completed my graduation in 2019.
Okay.
This was the years in which I got some kind of outside exposure uh, from my small town
Mm-hmm.
because I had the opportunity to involve in various clubs, social
Mm-hmm.
impact initiatives, and also I had one of the first leadership experience during my college days.
Okay.
So this also largely motivated me to pursue a dream in social impact services. That's why after my graduation, I spent around 2.5 years for preparing for UPSC civil service examination.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I couldn't achieve the result what I expected. So after 2 years of preparation, I decided to join back the corporate force. Then I joined a fintech startup based in Bangalore as a manager there. Right now, I'm working there as a senior manager. So largely, I'm working as part of their lending partnership team. So
Okay.
I'm dealing with the various lending partners in the fintech platform.
Mm-hmm.
So largely, I work on lender strategy, product strategy, and negotiation with the partners and all. So right now, I'm working there, and as Nirvan mentioned, I'll be joining Cambridge MBA in the coming September.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for that introduction, Amir. So I understand that you've worked in just one organization throughout your career, right? You joined that in 21, and then you've been working there throughout throughout your professional journey.
Yes, largely yes. After my graduation, I worked with ICICI Bank for a short period of time.
Okay.
It's around 5 to 6 months. Apart from that, I have been largely working in a single organization.
Got it. Got it. So there was a gap of around 2 years, and then you joined ICICI, and you move forward from there. Okay. Coming to the question of application, when did you first decide that you want to do an MBA? Was there a thought like this always in your mind, or did you decide this year that you want to go for an MBA? How was this?
Yeah. Actually, during my college days and all, I didn't have much plan on doing an MBA and all. But
Mhm.
even though during my college days, I had some exposure to management courses, and also, as you maybe already know, like in IITs, we had the opportunity to take multiple courses in different departments and all. So
Mhm.
at college level, I had some kind of understanding and exposure to the business subjects,
Mhm.
but I didn't have a serious thought of doing an MBA at that point in time. But after my UPSC journey, I have joined corporate workforce again. After
Mhm.
that, when I worked in a startup, that really opened my eyes. And also, I had the opportunity to work in a pure business team where
Okay.
I was able to demonstrate leadership through handling various big projects.
Okay.
So there I had some opportunity to work with various stakeholders such as financial strategy, category, customer experience. So I had the opportunity to work with all of them and understand the um, various aspects of business.
Okay.
So this has motivated me to consider doing an MBA because one passion I developed during my work experience was interest in finance and financial strategy. So, but at that point in time, I don't have the core competency which was required for those kind of roles. So that is one point where I decided I would have to do some masters in it. And
Okay.
second thing is, I also thought that uh, uh, MBA would help me in refine my leadership skill set so that I can work on various projects which have big impacts. And also during my work experience during last 3 years, I had the opportunity to talk with various people who have done an MBA. So one insight I received from them was, even though they have gone for their MBA for achieving their dream or achieving some dream job after MBA,
Hmm.
lot of them told that it opened up lot of avenues and opportunities for them after the MBA. So
Got
that has changed their viewpoints as well. So all of this put together during my professional journey in last 2 3 years,
it. Hmm.
I have decided to pursue MBA as the next option to transition my career. So that's where I have decided. Last year, I have taken a call that I will start application. I'll start doing the application
Hmm.
for this year, 2025 entry,
Hmm.
and I have started my application around August last year.
Got it. And you were done with your GMAT by that time, or did you work parallelly on your GMAT and your applications?
By that time, I had already completed my GMAT.
Okay.
I spent around more than 6 months for preparing that GMAT and all.
Okay.
After my after I got a secured score in GMAT, then I started school specific application part.
Got it. Got it. I think we also started working around August together, if I'm not wrong. Correct?
Yes,
August or September, right? Perfect. Okay. So help me understand a little bit. What all schools did you apply to, and why those schools particularly?
yes. Largely, I applied to three schools, one in US and two in UK.
Okay.
Um, Coming to the selection of schools, I had certain factors which I considered as very important.
Hmm.
So when I started listing down the school, I had a 30 schools list with me,
Right.
but I didn't have any clue how to shortlist and all.
True.
But first thing I have done was I compiled all the information I can get from the Google search and university website and all. I compiled all this information. Then I have given a thought that what all factors I should consider as important. So there are a couple of things I considered was, as I said, my interest was largely in the area of finance.
Hmm.
So based on the placement statistics and all, I have shortlisted some schools based on where I'll get enough opportunity to transition into a finance related role. Second thing was, from a geography perspective, I was open to both the geographies, US as well as UK, considering the equally competitive global exposure which I'm getting in both the geographies.
Hmm.
Third thing was, as I said, I already had a career gap of around 2 years.
Right.
Uh, and one thing one was I don't want to be away from workforce for a long period of time.
Right.
So I also researched about the 1 year MBA programs which are available. That's where I shortlisted uh, Oxford as well as Cambridge 1 year MBA programs. And also I had some, as I said, like I had some level of exposure to various business aspects. So
Hmm.
I thought that uh, uh, that will help me to thrive through the 1 year rigorous curriculum and all. These factors help me to choose the right options for me.
Hmm.
That's where I considered Oxford and Cambridge, and along with that, as I said, I applied for Cornell as well,
Hmm.
because when I started the application, it was almost August,
Got it.
and it was slightly late for round one applications in US.
Hmm.
So one deadline which was comfortable for me was Cornell Johnson ka September round one deadline. So that also I considered for application. So these are the three schools I applied last year.
Got it. And ultimately, I think you got an admit from Cambridge. Correct? And you got the results when you applied in R1, if I'm correct, right, for Cambridge?
It's R2 actually.
R2.
I got results in October November period.
Got it. Got it. Perfect. Glad to know that, Amir. Very interesting to know about the way you shortlisted your schools. Because believe me, when people approach me, right, initially, at least on the first call, they are pretty much where you were, right? When they have like 30 schools on a Excel sheet and they have no idea on how to go about sort of shortlisting them. And I think one of the easiest ways to get screwed in the entire process is when you shortlist your schools wrong. You have no idea how to go about it, right? And it's so important to shortlist the right schools there. So I think you did a great job. I think you had the clarity on how to go about it, and I think probably that helped a lot. Okay, I mean, so,
Yes, yes.
moving on to the,
Actually,
yeah, please share your thoughts.
adding on to that, like if you remember, like even though I shortlisted the schools, I'm not sure whether I am competitive enough for that. My profile is competitive enough for that schools and all.
Hmm,
So that's where I think you have given us a profile evaluation kit where I can give the inputs and I can understand where I am lying in different kind of schools. So
correct.
that also really helped me to shortlist the school because ultimately conversion factor is also something very
Yes,
important.
I agree. I totally agree. I think it's important to understand where you stand so that you can choose a range of schools that you want to apply to. Perfect. Amir, let's move on to the application a little bit, right? I'm very interested to know about how did you really approach the Cambridge application. Okay, I want to talk about, first, if you can just give your approach to the overall application. How did you do your research? Did you talk with people, right? Did you have a particular mindset that, hey, this is going to be my story, I want to portray myself as, let's say, a finance guy or maybe something else? How did you really approach the overall application?
Yes. Actually, on the application strategy part, first thing I have done was researching about the school. So
Mhm.
there are a couple of ways we can do the research. First thing was go to the website, understand what exactly is the curriculum, what are the different activities which we can do as part of MBA program, what are the career opportunities. All
Mhm.
these aspects I have got through the basic research which we are doing on the internet.
Correct.
So second thing was going one level above that, slightly understanding more deeper about the course, what they has to offer and all. So this we can do it in two ways. One is I have done some research through the blogs and all. There
Mhm.
was a blog which was called CambridgeMBAstories.com, where alumni as well as students put their experiences about the Cambridge MBA program. So this has given very unique insights about the Cambridge MBA program, how it will be offering different kind of things to different people coming from different kind of backgrounds. So this was one thing which helped me a lot. But uh, coming to the talking to the different alumni and all, I couldn't much personally. I couldn't do much on that front, but I had connected with around two people, I think. But they were really helpful actually because, as I said, the unique insights about the college they only can provide to us. The general research, if you are doing, that would be at a very peripheral level. That won't add much value to your application because everyone can access to that. So, but I would highly suggest that if you have time, better to reach out to the people as earlier in the application stages because they will help you with the right insights if you want to go into a particular sector, whether that MBA would be a fit for you, those kind of insights, or what all resources we have to use during the MBA program. On that aspects, they will be able to get you. So these are some of the things I have done. And coming to the other parts of the application, like about the goals and all, mostly if you remember, we had a very iterative approach to that.
Correct.
So we have written down my experiences, the major challenges or major accomplishment I have faced so far, and all of these things, we have refined all these versions and come up with the most uh, most correct version whenever the submission date approached.
Right.
So what I would suggest is, do all these things in an iterative manner. Take feedback every stage. Take feedback in every stage, so that you will have the most refined version while you are submitting the application. So these are the some of the things which really worked for me personally.
Got it. Do you think Cambridge is looking at maybe one quality or maybe one type of story, or is there anything that they are in particular looking at, or do you think there's nothing of that sort in your opinion?
What I understood was, during our application, if you remember, like, there are certain aspects like, coming to the goals as well. They are looking to the people who are having some kind of clarity about their short term and long term goals. Because when I read through the application essay questions,
Hmm.
there are certain aspects they are asking us to expect a sharp answers.
Mm.
So one example was, they were asking about, have you researched about the industry you want to join after your MBA? What are the skill set they are looking? So
Mm.
MBA colleges are expecting us to do a lot of research on that front as well. So it's not about what you want to do in your MBA, what you want to do pursue after your MBA. Have you done any kind of preparation? And also, are you doing any preparation between now and the joining start of the MBA program? Those kinds of questions they are explicitly asking in the application.
Mm.
So one thing they are testing is the clarity on the goals.
Correct.
Second thing I would mention is, whether the candidate has the leadership potential for that program. That is the second thing, because there are different kind sets of essays in which they want us to talk about the professional accomplishment or
Mm.
one of the major challenge you have solved in the past. So in all these things, if we can portray our leadership potential in some way or other way,
Hmm.
that would really stand out. I think
Right.
these are the two things I really found out in the entire application journey.
Got it. I honestly, I am really loving this conversation because your answers are so detailed, and I think if anyone is watching this at any point in time, there's a lot to gain to understand. For example, just the point on clarity of goals, right? On what you really want to portray about what your future goals are. That is so critical in any application, and I think if you don't have that, no matter what your profile is, it can, it can get dinged. But if you do have that clarity in portraying who you are and where you're going, I think that can really really help you throughout the entire process.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that, Amir. I mean, coming on to the essays now, right? Because a lot of people are scared about the essays, right? They're like, maybe we don't know how to storytell, or maybe we don't know what to write. What are the schools expecting us to write? How did you really approach the Cambridge essays, or if you have any tips on the essays piece? I know you've shared something, right, in our in just right now, but if there's anything else that you want to share about the essays part, I think that can be helpful.
Yes. On the essays part, I would say, one thing you should ensure this, the one I mentioned, which is important, is the research about the university. So whenever you write any essay part, let's say goals essay,
Hmm.
so what you can make it as a unique for your profile. So basically, if you want to become a finance related, if you want to go to a finance related role, how will you utilize that MBA program to reach your short term goals and as well as the long term goals? So tailor may tailoring your answers to your profile and the your short term goal is something very important. And giving a very generic answer is one of the red flags, because universities are expecting us to have a very sharp understanding of or self reflection of ourselves and what exactly we have to do. So while we are answering essays like goals essay, we should uh, we should make it unique in a way that is appropriate for our profile, what exactly I want to do.
Correct.
And second thing was, uh, about the other type of essays where you have to talk about your professional accomplishment, or the instances you have solved a big challenge. So on all these aspects, what I have done was I listed down all the projects I have done in last 2 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where I shortlisted like what are the exact challenge I was facing, and what did I solve in that project, and what was the impact it created for the company. So by doing a structured thinking on all these aspects, I was able to create multiple number of stories about my professional journey so far.
Hmm.
Uh, Through this structured approach, we would be able to demonstrate some of the leadership skill set to the admissions team.
Right.
So I think this part is really important because on one of the story I have written, actually they have asked some question during my interview as well.
Okay.
So they have tested in both the phases, interview as well as essays.
Hmm.
So uh, having a structured thinking on what all projects you have done, some creating some good stories about the project and the professional accomplishments you have achieved in the project, listing down in the initial phase is the first step.
Hmm.
Second thing is on the refining that answers to those essay questions. Sometimes what happens is we would have something in mind,
Hmm.
but when we write it on, like it won't come out properly with
Correct.
the correct out. So that's where I think we have done a lot of exercises,
Right.
doing the initial drafts, waiting it through multiple round of iteration.
Right.
But this process is also very important because unless and until you have that iterative approach, you won't end up in a good final outcome.
Hmm.
So these are the two things I would say specifically from an essay point of view, which really worked for me.
Perfect, perfect. Glad to know that, Amir. I mean, I also want to touch upon a couple of things here, right, related to your story that I think for a lot of people would be a question in their mind. One is, of course, and these both are related, the career gap and the UPSC piece, right? So there are a lot of people who apply with some sort of career gap, and then there are a lot of again UPSC, folks who have now moved on to the professional world who are also looking to apply to a B school. How do you really advise on tackling these questions, the career gap plus the UPSC piece? How do you really advise these people to tackle these questions in their application or the interview, or maybe how did you do that for your own application?
Actually, when I started my application journey, I
Hmm.
was little bit underconfident. I had all doubts related to whether I would be able to convert into any colleges. So
Hmm.
all those doubts I had when I started my application.
Hmm.
At that point in time, I also did some kind of research about like how should we explain about our gaps in MBA applications and all, whether some candidates who have taken some gap for UPSC examination went for MBA programs later. So on all these aspects, I have done some kind of research. Then I
Hmm.
understood that people are going for MBA after a UPSC career gap as well. So one
Right.
part was clear. There are chances still there. And second thing was one thing I found out was uh, rather than putting it as a justification or something, try to have a very open conversation about your career gap, because nowadays if you can see all the applications of major universities and major colleges, you will see a question the uh, related to the gaps you are having. So they are giving an opportunity to explain about that gaps.
Hmm.
So be open towards that is one of the thing we should follow. Second thing is I have done two things. One thing is in that gap essay I have written down two things. One was what was the motivation for going for that UPSC civil service examination,
Okay.
and is there any way I can connect that motivation to my post MBA goals as well? So
Right.
if you can make some connect, that would be well and good. But definitely you have to mention about your motivation for going to UPSC civil service examination. And on the second part, what you can portray is you can talk about what exactly you have done during those preparation days,
Hmm.
because when I did my preparation journey, even though it didn't turned out to be good from a result point of view,
Hmm.
I had learned a lot of subject. I got a lot of exposure. So I also gained a lot of skill set, which helped me later in my professional journey as well.
Right.
So if you can talk about little bit about that, that also would be really helpful. And also, whatever skill set you have acquired during that period, will it be helpful for achieving your short term goal after MBA? If you can make a connection on that front as well, you will be able to come up with a uh, gap as good essay on the uh, gaps you are explaining. So these are the some of the thumb rules I have kept while I was writing the uh, essays on my career break.
Got it. Got it. I think this is absolutely, this is one of the highlights of our conversation for people who are really looking at addressing the career gap. I think what you've mentioned, Amir, is literally something that they should follow to a T. And linking that gap on what you've learned or what you've done in that gap, even if it's UPSC or your motivations for UPSC, linking it to your goals, I think what you mentioned is absolutely critical. And that can help the admissions team understand why is there a gap, what were you doing at that point in time, and that you had a motive and a reason behind whatever you've done in the past and where you're going in the future. So I think that's some really great advice right there, Amir. Thank you so much for that. Moving on to the interview, right? Again, something that a lot of people are a little scared about, especially if you don't have good communication skills. People feel that they are not able to address that, or maybe they get really nervous during the interview. I want to ask you about, first of all, how did you approach the interview? How much preparation did you do for that? And how was the Cambridge interview? Right? Was it more formal, conversational? Maybe what were the questions like? Did you enjoy it? How was the entire process for you?
For me personally, actually, frankly speaking, interview was not a strong area at all.
Hmm.
So when I started my interview preparation, I was lacking on a lot of things. But one thing I would say is I had the luxury to do, I think, more than 10 plus mocks with you
Right.
for the interview preparation. So that really helped me. So coming to the interview, uh, uh, what we have to do is like first thing we have to do is be thorough with your application. So whatever we have written in your application, be thorough with that.
Right.
Because if I remember correctly, uh, my first question in the interview was on a point which I have written in my resume, where I have mentioned a quantification of the impact I have created on a specific project. So actually for my interview there was no introduction kind of questions. There is no question regarding the brief introduction and all. Interviewer specifically asked about the project I worked and I mentioned it on the resume. That was my first question.
Mhm.
So be thorough with your application is very important, and whatever we are writing we should be able to talk about that.
Correct.
So that is one thing. Second thing is, there are two important questions we should be thorough with that. One is why MBA and why that specific college. In my case, why Cambridge Judge Business School. So on all these two questions, we should have a unique answer from our profile perspective. Why we need to do the MBA and why it is the right time for doing MBA from our personal standpoint of view. And third thing is why Cambridge MBA suits for us, and also how Cambridge MBA will help me to reach my short term and long term goals. And third thing was uh, some some of the questions mostly on the contribution which we can give to the community and the business school. So
Mhm.
on all those aspects as well, uh, if we can genuinely give some proper answers, because if we had worked in some kind of startup, or if let's say for me, I have worked in a fintech startup. So during my interview, when the interviewer asked about how will you able to contribute to the cohort you are joining in,
Mhm.
so then I had the opportunity to talk about a fintech special interest group in the Cambridge Business School.
Mhm.
So having those answers ready and doing the right research about all these aspects is very important. And talking about my interview experience, it was largely
Mhm.
conversational, and interviewer was very friendly. So they
Mhm.
were really eager to know more about us. I was expecting something like a grilling experience during the interview, but that
Mhm.
was not the experience at all.
Right.
Because largely through that conversation, they really want to understand what genuinely you are. So if you will be able to portray your those kind of elements, that would be helpful in cracking the interview.
Mhm.
And also specifically to Cambridge, uh, uh, they had asked a couple of questions related to the industry I am working with as well.
Okay.
Because on this aspect, what I felt was from a leadership perspective, you have to think ahead and understand what exactly happening in the industry you are working with,
Mhm.
because that's thinking and approach is really important for a leader. So, having said that, uh, we don't have to be so much well versed about the industry and all, but having a decent understanding about the industry you have worked with, what are the general trends in that industry, on all these aspects also, if you can do a decent preparation,
Mhm.
uh, you'll be in a very good position.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. I think the entire interview, especially, I think this is also probably not true for Indian B schools, but for US, UK, and the entire Western sphere B schools, I think they're more conversational and they're more interested in understanding your journey. And I think I've heard this, from so many of my students. And I think it's really interesting. Also, I think yours was taken by an admissions team member, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes, admissions team.
Correct. I have seen this approach from a lot of UK schools specifically, where they ask admissions team to, sort of take the interview. Mostly for USB schools, it's alum. For some of them, again, it's an admissions team member. But very interesting to sort of hear how your interview panned out, Amir. Okay, so moving on to the results. I know you heard the results probably in November or something around that time. How was the entire experience? I also want to ask this question, right? Because a lot of people don't know what happens after they get an admit. Okay, so how is Cambridge helping you with the entire process? Are they really involved with helping you with visas, with, I don't know, financial aids, with helping you move over them, or is the involvement of school very minimal and maybe you have your own group with admitted students and you deal with that? How is the entire process after the admit?
I have given confirmation on the offer in November and December.
Hmm.
So after that, the communication we will be getting from Cambridge MBA admissions team on various aspects. Because as of now, I got lot of communication regarding how you can fund your MBA
Hmm.
on those aspects, and second aspect is how you can network with the people.
Right.
So on those aspects, that's also they have sent a lot of communication, and also they have conducted lot of events after we confirmed the offer as well. Because
Okay.
if I remember correctly, every month we had some kind of event uh, about the colleges or about the activities we can plan in the MBA program. On all these aspects, they have given the right communication over the last few months.
Hmm.
And also apart from that, informally as well, we had lot of groups already
Hmm.
where we can connect with the people who are having similar minds. Let's say if you want to go to sustainability field after my MBA, then there is a group of interested people who can discuss the approaches, who can discuss the general aspects of that industry. All these things already started for me because I got admission in December, and already some of the discussion has started. And also last week also there were some connects regarding the uh, product management enthusiasts.
Hmm.
So those aspect, lot of networkings are ongoing right now. And obviously there are procedural aspects about the admission, and paperworks are also ongoing right now.
Got it. Got it. I am really excited to see where this is going. I'm sure you are excited to attend Cambridge. It starts in August, if I'm not wrong, correct? In August this year.
Course starts in September mid. Mostly I'll be going to UK by August. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, Amir, I want to end our interview or our session here. I just want to ask you if you have any final thoughts, any final tips, any final, maybe this is something that I would have done differently if I had the chance again to probably apply. Anything that you want to share with people, feel free to do that.
When I look back, one thing I would suggest to everyone is start slightly earlier, because I started little bit late, I would say.
Hmm.
If you can start the process little bit earlier, let's say in September, most of the schools would have round one deadline. If
Correct.
you are starting 2 3 months earlier, that would give you a definitely a early bird advantage,
Correct.
because that will help you with more time for preparing for application strategy, essays and all. So start early, as early as possible. And second thing is, before you start the specific school application, be ready with your GMAT score, because if you don't have that GMAT score, it will be always be an uncertain thing. So you won't be able to take the right decision. And one thing I would highlight is, be ready to self reflect upon yourself. So that is something I really learned as a value during my application journey. Unless and until you self reflect upon yourself, you cannot improve at all. So be receptive to the feedback. uh, uh, get in touch with the people who can give constructive feedback. For my case, I have been fortunate enough to work with Nirvan, and also my wife also parallelly supporting me.
Hmm.
So getting those constructive feedbacks and doing the right self reflection is very important during this application journey. So these are some of the things I want to convey to all the audiences and all the people who are planning to apply in the coming years.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for doing this, Amir. I have really enjoyed our conversation. And from a content point of view, I think this is pure gold. You've shed light on so many different aspects of the application, how to really approach them, how did you approach them personally, and how it turned out for you. I'm really happy to hear these thoughts and in so much detail. Again, thank you so much, for accepting my invite and graciously doing this with me. I want to wish you all the best for your journey at Cambridge, Amir, and I wish and I hope that we'll stay in touch in your journey as well.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Nirvan, for giving this opportunity. I'm really happy that I could share this thoughts with upcoming candidates.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. This is Amir Hassan. Thank you.
Thank you.